You know that quiet moment before the world wakes up? When the sun's just beginning to yawn over the rooftops, the birds start chirping like they're warming up for a concert, and the air still smells like dew and grass? That's my favorite time of day. It's when I unlock the pool gates, take a deep breath, and get to work. Just me, the water, and a bucket of chlorine. I manage the community pool in our suburban neighborhood. It's not glamorous work, but I take it seriously. This pool, it's not just a hole filled with water, it's the heart of summer around here. Kids learn to swim in it, neighbors make friends over it, parents relax by it after long work days. And I make sure it's safe, clean, and ready every single day. The pool opens at 8 a.m. sharp and closes at 9 p.m. No exceptions. Not because I'm uptight, but because those rules are there for a reason. Safety, liability, peace of mind. There are chemicals that need to settle, surfaces that need to be scrubbed, skimmers that need clearing, and filters that don't clean themselves. I've got a checklist I follow every single morning before the first flip-flop hits the deck. It's a routine I've come to love. Most people in the community appreciate what I do. They know I'm the guy who takes the extra time to skim that last leaf, who double-checks the pH balance, who will, on the rarest of occasions, even run home and grab my backup equipment when something breaks unexpectedly. I'm not just keeping the pool running. I'm protecting a little piece of neighborhood sanity. But there's always one. In our case, her name is Karen. You probably already have an image in your mind. And honestly, it's probably not far off. Expensive sunglasses, loud phone voice, a sense of entitlement so thick it leaves a film on everything she touches. She moved in last year, and from day one she's acted like the pool was her personal resort, and I was the underpaid staff at her beck and call. It started small. A few complaints about the pool chairs not being aesthetic enough. Requests for private use during her yoga time. But over time, the demands got weirder and louder. Still, I stuck to the rules. I've learned in this job that structure keeps the peace and keeps me sane. I don't play favorites, I don't bend the rules, and I definitely don't open the pool at 4 a.m. just because someone claims to have a rare circadian rhythm. Most of the time, those little power plays fizzle out. People grumble, then move on. But Karen was different, because no amount of rule following, no matter how meticulous, could prepare me for what she was about to do. And it all started with a phone call to 911 at 4 in the morning. The first time I met Karen, she had a reusable iced coffee cup in one hand and a Bluetooth headset in the other, barking at someone on the phone while simultaneously gesturing at me to unlock the pool gate. It was 6:30 a.m. "Hi, sorry," I said, giving her a professional but firm smile. "Pool doesn't open until 8. She didn't even pause her conversation, just glanced at me like I was a fly buzzing near her croissant. When she finally ended the call, she pointed at the lock. "I need the gate open. Now, I have a routine and this is messing it up." "I get it," I said calmly. "But we don't open until 8. It's a safety thing." She squinted at me like she couldn't believe I was real. "Do you know who I am?" Ah, there it was, the golden phrase, the battle cry of the entitled. Didn't know who she was, and I didn't care. I've been doing this job for almost 7 years. I've dealt with every kind of personality. Overprotective moms, impatient teens, nosy dads who think they know more about chlorine than I do because they once watched a pool cleaning TikTok. But Karen? She came in like she was on a different level of reality, one where the rules were made for other people. She eventually stomped off that morning, muttering something about taking this up with the HOA, which, to be honest, was a weekly threat around here. I figured that was the end of it. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The next morning, she was back, this time at 4:12 a.m., no joke. I was still half asleep, sitting in my kitchen eating cereal and checking the pool cam footage from my phone when I saw her, standing at the gate with a yoga mat under one arm and a massive inflatable swan under the other. She stood there for a solid 10 minutes, occasionally waving at the security camera like she was being watched by an adoring public. By the time I arrived at 7:30 to start my morning routine, she was waiting. "Are you seriously going to make me wait again?" she snapped. "This is a health issue. I have a specific aqua yoga regimen that I follow. My therapist says water movement at dawn helps my lymphatic system. I nodded slowly. That sounds specific. But the rules haven't changed. That's when she flipped the script. No more fake friendliness, no more passive-aggressive sighs. Full-on rage mode. You're power-tripping, she spat. You like having control over people. It makes you feel important, doesn't it? Standing behind your little gate pretending you matter. It took everything in me not to laugh. I stayed calm. I always do. Karen, I said, I'm just following the guidelines set by the HOA. This isn't personal. No one gets early access, not even me. Wrong thing to say. Well, I know people on the board, she said, stepping closer. And if you think your little pool boy job is safe, think again. I can make some calls. You don't want to be on the wrong side of me. Ah, yes. The threats. Another Karen classic. I nodded again, keeping my hands in my pockets, calm as still water. Feel free to reach out to the board. I'm sure they'll back me up, especially since I've got video of every time you've tried to get in early. That shut her up, at least temporarily. But I could see it in her eyes, the gears turning, the quiet, vindictive planning happening behind that smug expression. She wasn't giving up. She was escalating. Over the next week, she showed up earlier and earlier, one morning at 4:07, another time at 3:55, like she was trying to beat her own record. Each time I caught her, she'd act like I was the one being unreasonable, and every time I held my ground. But Karen wasn't just annoying. She was determined. She started sending passive-aggressive emails to the HOA about how the pool manager was creating a hostile environment and how she felt unsafe and unheard. She made herself sound like a victim in some suburban horror story. I've had people yell at me before, complain about pool rules, even try to bribe me to let their kids bring food into the water. But Karen was different. She didn't want to break the rules. She wanted to own them. And when she couldn't, she was willing to burn everything down to prove she was right. And I had no idea just how far she'd go until the cops showed up. It was one of those nights where I couldn't sleep, not because anything was wrong, just one of those restless toss-and-turn nights. I figured I'd beat the sunrise and head to the pool early to get a jump on cleaning, maybe even enjoy a rare moment of peace before the neighborhood woke up. I pulled into the lot around 4:15 a.m., headlights off out of habit, and as soon as I stepped out of the truck, I heard it, a metallic clink. I froze. The sound repeated, steady and deliberate. I moved, around the hedges toward the pool gate, staying low. And there she was, Karen, crouched by the lock with a full-on tool pouch laid out next to her, like she was on an episode of Suburban Heist, HOA edition. She was using a flathead screwdriver and a pair of pliers, muttering under her breath about incompetence and being forced to do everything herself. The glow from the nearby security light cast her in this eerie, almost villainous silhouette. Would have been hilarious if it wasn't so wildly illegal. Karen, I said, voice calm but sharp, what the hell do you think you're doing? She jerked up so fast she nearly knocked her head on the gate. The tools dropped with a clatter. You! She hissed, straightening her jacket like I had done something wrong. Why are you sneaking around like some kind of stalker? I crossed my arms. I work here. You don't, and it's 4 a.m. You want to explain why you're breaking into the community pool with tools? I wasn't breaking in, she snapped. I was checking for damage. The gate's faulty. It's a safety hazard. I blinked. With pliers. She glared at me like I had insulted her ancestry. You don't get to question me. You've been harassing me since day one. You think this little power trip gives you the right to treat me like trash? I took a step back, hands still up, voice level. Karen, you're trespassing. Step away from the gate or I'm calling the police. Her eyes narrowed. And then she did the Karen thing. She reached for her phone and, without a hint of irony, called 911. He's threatening me, she shouted into the receiver. He's blocking my exit. He won't let me leave. I'm being held here against my will. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She started crying. On cue, loud, dramatic sobs echoing off the concrete like a stage performance. I didn't move, didn't say a word. I just pointed at the security camera overhead. Blinking red. Recording. Every second. Within 5 minutes, flashing lights cut through the darkness, and 2 officers stepped out of their cruiser, hands near their belts but not drawn. I waved politely and stayed calm. I've learned that yelling only escalates things, and right now Karen was doing more than enough of that for both of us. He trapped me here, she wailed, pointing at me. I was just trying to leave, and he blocked me and started threatening me. He was aggressive and intimidating. Ma'am, one officer said, holding a hand up, let's take a breath. You said he blocked your exit? Yes, she sobbed. I feared for my safety. The E. Second officer turned to me. Sir, what's your side? I nodded toward the camera. The pool's closed. She was caught trying to break in with tools. I confronted her and told her to leave. I never touched her. Everything's on tape. They looked at each other, then back at Karen. We'll need to review the footage, the first cop said. But, from what we're seeing here, nothing physical occurred? Karen sniffled, suddenly shifting into a quieter, more demure version of herself. I just felt intimidated. He's always targeting me. The second cop raised an eyebrow. Do you have a key to this gate, ma'am? No, she said quickly, then backtracked. I mean, not officially, but I've requested one. That earned a visible sigh from both officers. After a bit more back and forth, they gave me a nod and handed Karen a verbal warning. No arrests, no tickets. Just another pile of drama dumped on my morning. I stood there after they left, watching. Her stomp off into the darkness, heels clicking like she was marching into a courtroom to sue the universe. The gate remained locked. The tools stayed in evidence. But my patience? Yeah, that was starting to crack. Because if she was willing to lie to the police at 4 a.m. just to take a dip, what else was she willing to do? I had a sinking feeling this wasn't over. And unfortunately, I was right. You'd think after calling 911 and getting caught trying to pick a lock at 4 a.m., most people would take the L and disappear into the background. But not Karen. Karen doubled down. 2 days after the 4 a.m. showdown, I got my first official notice from the HOA. A formal complaint had been filed against me. Multiple pages long, full of flowery legal-ish language accusing me of creating a hostile environment, deliberate psychological intimidation, and my personal favorite, gender-based discrimination that borders on misogyny. She claimed I had verbally assaulted her, refused to accommodate her therapeutic needs, and had engaged in ongoing harassment that caused significant emotional trauma. The document read like the first draft of a courtroom drama, complete with imagined dialogue and tear-stained trauma quotes. I was stunned. Then I laughed. Then I realized it wasn't funny because some people on the HOA board, they believed her. Karen was loud. Karen was relentless. Karen used every buzzword in the book. And more importantly, Karen wasn't stupid. Manipulative? Sure. Unhinged? Probably, but not dumb. She started showing up to the pool during operating hours with her phone out, camera on, filming me from across the fence like I was a zoo animal. No explanation. No conversation. Just Karen glaring through her iPhone screen waiting for me to slip up. One time she yelled, loud enough for everyone around the pool to hear, "Just so we're clear, I'm documenting this interaction in case I'm verbally assaulted again." I hadn't said a single word to her. The younger lifeguards didn't know what to do. The residents started whispering. And the HOA? They asked me to attend a conflict mediation meeting with her present. You know, to find common ground. Common ground with someone who tried to frame me for a felony. I respectfully declined, but I wasn't going to let her steamroll me either. So I got smart. First, I printed and posted signs around the pool and maintenance areas. Notice, this area is under 24/7 video surveillance. Then I actually installed my own set of high-res security cameras. Not just the HOA's outdated ones pointed at the gates, but discrete, legally placed units around the maintenance shed, pump area, and lifeguard station. I started keeping a log, 2 time-stamped notes of every interaction with her. Who was around? what was said, witnesses, everything. Because I knew what she was trying to do. She wanted a reaction, something she could twist, something she could upload, crop, and point to while crying in front of a board meeting. She wanted a headline. Local. Pool manager snaps. Goes off on woman seeking peaceful yoga. But she wasn't going to get it. Instead, I became bulletproof. Every time she approached me with the camera in hand, I responded like a customer service bot with a smile. Good morning, Karen. I hope you're enjoying your day. She'd try. Debate me with comments like, still bitter I have more influence in this community than you ever will? And I'd reply with, I'm just here to keep the pool clean and safe. It drove her nuts. The more calm I stayed, the more unhinged she became. She started telling anyone who would listen that I was targeting her with surveillance, that I had obsessive tendencies, and that I was creating a digital record of her private life. I mean, we were at a public pool, but logic wasn't part of Karen's toolkit. Eventually, one board member, Linda, bless her, asked to review my camera footage to get the full picture. I showed her the compilation. Karen tailing me with a phone, yelling things unprovoked, trying to corner me in empty corners of the deck with her camera running. Linda's face dropped. Oh, wow. This is not what she described. Exactly. I wasn't just documenting Karen. I was quietly building a case, one frame at a time. Not just to clear my name, but to protect myself and my job from someone who clearly didn't care what she had to ruin, as long as she got her way. But even as I stacked the receipts, I could feel it. The pressure building. Karen wasn't done. She was losing control of the narrative, and people were starting to see through her. That's when people like her get desperate, unpredictable. And when desperate Karens go nuclear, they don't just make noise. They try to take the whole system down with them. The moment my phone buzzed that night, I knew. It was around 2:43 a.m., way outside regular hours, and my motion sensors don't go off without reason. I groggily tapped into the camera feed, expecting maybe a stray raccoon nosing around the trash. Nope, there she was. Karen dressed in black like a cartoon burglar, creeping across the pool deck with a pair of bolt cutters in one hand and a towel over her shoulder. Like this was just another pre-dawn spa day. I didn't move. I didn't call out. I didn't even blink. I let the cameras do their thing. 4 angles capturing her every move. From the moment she clipped the padlock on the gate, to her slipping off her sneakers and dipping a toe into the pool like she was testing a warm bath. She was oddly graceful, floating there, mid-backstroke like she wasn't trespassing, like she owned the place. And then she did something that finally made my jaw hit the floor. She took out her phone and started live streaming. Good morning, followers, she said, flipping her hair with one hand and holding the phone with the other. Just wanted to show you how well the HOA's been treating me lately. They finally came to their senses and gave me private access to the pool again. Shout out to our wonderful pool guy for finally doing the right thing. That's when I hit record on my own phone, because that was it, the final straw. She wasn't just breaking rules anymore. She was rewriting them, live on camera while committing a crime. I called the police, calmly, clearly. Yeah, this is name, pool maintenance lead at community name. I have live video of a woman trespassing and vandalizing HOA property. She's currently in the pool. I've got surveillance footage and proof she's lying about being allowed here. The dispatcher didn't even hesitate. Officers are on the way. I stayed in my truck across the lot. Lights off, camera still running. I wasn't going to interrupt her show. Let her dig her own grave. Every minute she stayed in that pool was another nail in her legal coffin. About 7 minutes later, red and blue lights cut across the water. Karen scrambled out like a spooked cat, still holding her phone, sputtering into it. What is this? Why are the police here? I was let in. This is harassment. This is gendered aggression. The officers were polite at first, asked her to step out. She started crying immediately. It's him, she shouted, pointing in every direction, except mine. He unlocked the gate for me and now he's trying to set me up. He's obsessed with me. I feel unsafe. I stepped out from the shadows and approached the officers slowly, phone in hand. "Here's the full video," I said, handing one of them the footage. "Also, the live security cam feed is on that monitor by the shed if you want timestamps." The mood changed instantly. The officers watched maybe 30 seconds before one of them turned to her and asked flatly, "Ma'am, were you aware the pool was closed and that the gate was locked?" Karen's face dropped. I thought it was," he said. The other officer interrupted, now completely professional and firm. "You're under arrest for trespassing, destruction of property, and filing a false police report." She shrieked, literally. Screamed about her rights, about her status, about how she was going to sue every one of you for defamation. Didn't matter. They cuffed her right there by the pool she was so obsessed with. She cried all the way to the cruiser. And me. I just stood there, arms crossed, watching the scene unfold like a curtain finally falling after a very, very long play. Justice doesn't always come fast, but when it does, it's crystal clear, like freshly filtered pool water. It didn't take long for the news to spread. By sunrise the morning after her arrest, our little neighborhood grapevine was buzzing like an over-caffeinated beehive. The text started early. Neighbors, lifeguards, even board members reaching out with a mix of disbelief and not-so-subtle satisfaction. Karen had been caught, red-handed, on camera. And better yet, she couldn't spin her way out this time. Week later, the HOA held a special meeting, open to all residents. Tensions were high, chairs were filled. People actually showed up early to get a seat, some with popcorn-level anticipation. I was invited to speak. Not something I was particularly thrilled about, but I figured, screw it. They needed to hear the truth. All of it. I walked in with a thumb drive, a manila folder, and the full confidence of someone with video evidence, time-stamped logs, and months' worth of patience finally paying off. The board opened the floor, and I laid it all out. Security footage of Karen attempting to break into the pool multiple times. Her live stream, where she flat out lied about being granted private access. Her confrontations with me, captured by her own phone and mine. Logs I had kept detailing every interaction, every complaint filed, every board member who had witnessed her behavior. The room was silent, except for the audio clips echoing from the speakers. There was no way to argue with the footage. It was her, over and over again. When I finished, I just said, "All I ever tried to do was follow the rules and keep this place safe. I didn't ask for a war." The president of the HOA, a guy named Mark who used to sit on the fence about everything, stood up and cleared his throat. "Based on the overwhelming evidence, the board is unanimously voting to fine Karen for property damage, revoke her HOA voting privileges for a period of 2 years, and ban her from all community pool facilities indefinitely." Beat of silence. Then someone clapped. Then a few more joined in. By the time I gathered my folder, the whole room was applauding. Not a thunderous standing ovation or anything, but the kind of slow, honest clapping you only get from people who've been silently suffering and finally see someone stand up. I even caught Mrs. DeWitt, who'd always quietly shuffled past me without a word, give me a thumbs up from across the room. It felt like someone had finally lifted a storm cloud off the neighborhood. Karen? Well, she didn't show up to the meeting, but she made her presence. Known the next week when a for sale sign popped up on her perfectly manicured front lawn. Just like that, the queen of confrontation was cashing out. Rumor had it she tried to file a lawsuit against the HOA, but her arrest record and the video evidence nuked whatever chance that had. 2 months later, her house sold. Below asking price. No goodbye. No moving party. Just a silent, early-morning U-Haul disappearing into the distance like a villain in the final scene of a drama no one wanted to watch anymore. The morning after she left, I unlocked the pool gate at 7:58 a.m. sharp. The air was cool. The water was still. And for the first time in months, it was peaceful. No phone cameras aimed at me. No screaming. No fake tears. Just the quiet ripple of water and a couple of early swimmers nodding hello as they passed. One of them, a guy who used to avoid eye contact when Karen was around, walked by and said, "Hey, thanks for standing your ground." I smiled. Just doing my job. But in my head, I knew it was more than that. I hadn't just protected a pool, I'd reclaimed peace for an entire neighborhood. And honestly, it felt damn good. There's a certain kind of silence that only exists just before sunrise. No cars, no phones, just the occasional bird stretching its wings, and the soft, steady hum of the pool filters working like clockwork. These days, that silence hits different. No anxiety gnawing at the back of my mind. No irrational woman lurking behind hedges with a phone aimed at my head. Just peace, routine, and the gentle splash of early risers doing lazy laps in a place that finally feels like it belongs to the community. Again, it's funny how something as simple as a pool can become the eye of a storm. Chlorinated water, tiles, gates, a few rules on a sign. And yet it was ground zero for months of manipulation, lies, and outright madness. Now it's the calm center of our neighborhood again. The first week after Karen left, I noticed a shift. Subtle at first. A few more good mornings. Some fresh baked goods from the elderly couple 2 doors down. One of the lifeguards, Sam, the nervous teen who used to panic every time Karen walked by, actually laughed during his shift, even. The HOA board, once a source of stress and bureaucracy, started working like it should. Meetings were calmer. Issues got resolved. No more emergency conflict mediation nonsense. And me? I'm just breathing easier. Funny enough, I've become something of a local legend. The guy who took down Karen. I still don't think I did anything heroic, I just refused to get dragged into her chaos. I stayed calm, I stayed smart, and I documented everything. Honestly, if there's one lesson I'd tattoo on every clipboard in the service industry, it's this. Keep receipts. People like Karen thrive on emotional responses. They bait you, they poke you, and the moment you blink, they twist it into their version of reality. But paperwork, footage, logs, that's not negotiable. That's truth. And patience? Patience is your secret weapon. Because as much as Karen tried to rush the drama, push it, escalate it, light a match, and throw it at my career, I didn't give her the satisfaction. I let her burn herself out while I quietly set up the fire extinguisher. Sometimes beating someone like that doesn't come from yelling louder or throwing punches. It comes from waiting, watching, preparing, and then delivering the truth so clean and undeniable. Even her fake tears couldn't blur the footage. These days, I open the pool at 8:00 a.m. on the dot, just like always. Mrs. DeWitt brings her floppy hat and mystery novels. The Patel twins cannonball in unison. I get the occasional thanks again for what you did, from someone I barely recognize. And while I don't need the praise, I'll admit, hearing it feels good. I didn't just protect a pool. I protected sense of order, a place where rules meant something, and where neighbors could swim without getting sucked into one woman's never-ending tantrum. And when I walk the perimeter, check the filters, or straighten up the lounge chairs, there's something oddly satisfying in the routine. Like the world reset itself. Like the chlorine finally cleared the air, not just in the water, but in the whole community. I still keep the cameras up. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I know better now. Peace doesn't last by accident. You have to maintain it, just like the water. And if you're wondering what happened to Karen, last I heard she moved 2 counties over. Tried to strong-arm another HOA board into bending rules for her wellness routine. Word travels, though. People don't fall for the act as easily the second time around. Part of me wonders if she'll ever show her face here again. And if she does, well, let's just say, if Karen ever wants a midnight swim again, she can try prison showers, pools. Closed, lights are off, and around here we remember. Because peace is earned, and I earned every damn ripple.